Good morning, guys. This is Josh, joined with Kesh. This is Warrior Poet Society, and episode 2.
Well, not in the bag yet, but hopefully.
About to be.
Yeah.
So today the topic is going to be the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are you doing for the holidays?
So for the holidays, I am heading to Canada with my girl. I'm going to be in Alberta. It is currently, from what I've researched, minus 22.
Oh, man.
So this is going to be a very different experience to what I'm
Yeah.
used to. You know, coming from an island, I'm currently getting ready to say goodbye to my limbs. That's where I'm at right now.
You're
Yeah.
frozen.
Dude, it's
it's
gonna
a
be-
white Christmas, though. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is it snowing? Or?
I mean, yeah,
Has to be.
that it is definitely, but I'm genuinely I'm confused. I'm like, what do you even do when it's that cold? You know what I mean? But,
Hide inside.
yeah, pretty much. What about yourself? What are you doing?
We're going to be local this year, luckily, because we just moved into the house, so we want to kind of enjoy the first Christmas in the house.
Tight.
So it'll be nice and hopefully chill. It's my wife's birthday on Christmas Day also, so it's a double.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a double day. So
Is she one of those that enjoys that, or is it like?
Yeah, I mean, she
annoying?
enjoys it because we try to make it a thing. You still celebrate your birthday. We usually
Yeah.
have a birthday cake for her, and usually my family's been pretty good, and her family about like, here's your Christmas gift, here's your birthday gift separately.
Right,
which is nice. But I would imagine it'd be hard to have that.
Well, because I would feel like my birthday's hijacked every year, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, are
Yeah.
people splitting your presents? Like, what's the deal with
Yeah,
that? You know?
totally. Yeah, I think, so last week we talked a little bit about, feelings, right? Sharing more as men. And I think the holidays are a good time to highlight that and also be a little vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And on this show, I think we get, to do that.
Did you do the homework that we talked about?
I did. Yeah. So I did it in my office. I don't think I made an hour though. I think it was, it's like,
Should we remind them what the
39.
homework was?
Yeah, the homework was to stare at a wall for an hour with no sound, no like earbuds or music. I think I got 38 or 39 minutes in, and then it was a scheduling issue, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was very hard.
Right.
Very hard to do.
So I love that though. You actually legit sat down.
Well,
you were like,
have
I'm gonna do it for
yeah,
an hour.
I mean, I like challenges. I like
Yeah,
challenges and homework. So
You were like, I'm gonna do an hour and
I'm
5,
a
I
big
swear.
homework guy. So when you were like, try it, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fun. I want to see.
Did you do it here in the office?
I did it in my office, yeah, here, and I turned the lights off because it's just visually easier. But we had the light coming in from the frosted windows, and I just sat in my chair and I just kind of turned it to the side and I just stared at the wall under the whiteboard that I have hung up, and I just chilled.
Yeah.
I just kind of listened to the sounds outside the window. Your head goes a lot of places,
Right.
kind of all over the place.
Well, they're almost, I don't know if it was the same for you. It's almost like my senses just start doing a checklist of themselves. At first, I get so distracted by all the sounds. I'm like, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
Then my thoughts start running crazy. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what does this smell? Like anything but the actual, how do I feel?
The
You know what I mean?
thoughts was the biggest part, I think, for me. The sounds were present. The office is really new, so it didn't smell like anything but a boring office.
Yeah,
The thoughts, I was thinking about, it starts with the normal stuff, like the checklist, all right, what do I have to do today? That part of my brain,
right. You're like, I have an hour, I might as well.
yeah, I need to, right after this, make sure you call that person, email the lawyer, all those little things have to go. And then it's the creative side kicked in a little bit, which was cool. Hey, this design idea could be cool. But you couldn't write it down because I'm trying to focus on the wall. So I'm like,
Right.
I'll remember this idea later.
Right.
And then for me, what happened was a lot of thoughts came up that I've been working on in therapy, to be honest. A lot of those things started to kind of come up, having this inner dialogue with myself about the things that I'm processing right now and working on in therapy, which I didn't expect to just sort of creep in to the moment.
It's very interesting. Not to jump in, but real quick, I feel like that's my experience too. When you create a container for space, I feel like those thoughts or things that you're currently working in just find themselves just coming to you. You know?
And it was a good thing too. It was a pleasant surprise. It was very surprising at first, but it was kind of oh, you know what? And because it was quiet, and I don't have quiet ever.
Right.
I always have earbuds. My family hates it. I always have one earbud in. Even if we're driving somewhere, we're going somewhere. I have an earbud in, and I have music. It's a background to my brain. I need it. It's a coping mechanism for me, for sure. For anxiety, for stress.
I do brown noise, same thing. I always have to have
Yeah.
something in the background.
Yeah. And even when I sleep, it's a white noise machine next to the bed. Like there's never silence. So literally like not having anything going on was a real eye-opening experience for my brain. Like you can still think and process ideas without sound.
Yeah.
And in sometimes even in a better way, because sound for me is triggering, like a guitar note or a melody or a lyric can trigger a memory that I don't want to be triggered sometimes, and silence, I was just thinking like, man, that this was a situation we're talking about in therapy. This is the perspective that I have, and it kind of let me stay in the moment with it, right? I kind of got to sit there with it better than I do when I have music in.
That's amazing. I remember when I did that too, like the staring at a wall for an hour, I had a bit of a different experience. Well, like, same thing as you're describing, like in the beginning, very chaotic, but I actually almost had like a second wave of like, hey, here's another challenge. I just became hyper aware of like how silent it was. And my thoughts felt so loud that it was that's the part that felt so uncomfortable. I was like, I am so able to hear myself right now. This is scary because I can't ignore it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like
around that 39 minute mark when I had to stop because someone knocked on the door and I had to go to a session, I had just hit that point.
Right.
Where I felt like I was in control and it was a great experience. And then it just started to kind of like, everything just started to kind of go all different places. And then it was also like my brain being like, hey, you don't need to do this anymore. It's been an hour. Like my brain was trying to give me an out.
Right.
Like, it's been an hour. You're good. Like they're done. Like just what? I'm like, no, like the alarm didn't go off because I had it set.
Yeah.
Like to go off on the table.
Well, I think like ADHD, I have a good like hunch that I'm undiagnosed with ADHD, and I feel like a lot of us are. It's a very like generational thing now. I feel like a lot of the time what can be a trigger for that, and I don't know if there's science backing that up, is actually the fact that like you put your brain outside of the comfort zone, meaning, like for example, for you being in a room and then all of a sudden your brain is like, hey, this is really uncomfortable. Oh, we have a meeting though. You want to, maybe we could do that right now, right? And to sit and, like you said, you had to bounce and do something else because schedule wise didn't make sense. But when that arises, I think we go back to like what you and I were talking about last week, which is the only way to the other side that's beneficial is through and not, finding some kind of like ways out of it. And very often the way through, at least to me, is just, once again, simple, just a big, fat, deep breath. And then, one step at a time.
It's like that Ryan Holiday book title. So The Obstacle is the Way. It's
Love that book. It's one of my favorite books.
Such a good book. Yeah. I always think about that. And what's cool is I had to leave because I had an hour set aside ready to go. I just didn't start on time. That's a me thing. Like I replied to an email. I had like jotted down some notes I needed to do. So, but what's cool is it was more enjoyable than I expected. I liked it more than I thought I would. Cause again, I don't ever have quiet.
Right.
Like every room in the gym has music typically or headphones are on. So I'm going to keep trying to do it at least like maybe like a once a week thing.
Yeah.
And just try to hit that solid straight hour this time. No distractions. Start on time this time.
Yeah, I find it to be a good challenge. Like, I got to be honest, when I first did it, I really, like you, like felt, wow, like I'm getting a lot out of this. Like I'll carve out some time, like, like once a week to do it. But then it just became it's weird because it should be the simplest thing to set in motion.
Right.
And yet, like you said, there's a meeting, there's this, there's that. You forget to put your phone on silent. You got to get out of the room, all that stuff. So it becomes complicated. And I find that like, if I can find other avenues where I can carve out an hour for myself, it doesn't have to be staring at a wall. It could be going on a hike in nature. It could be, just going on a drive. It could be going on a walk, whatever it is, as long as I'm kind of like cultivating that practice of like setting aside an hour for myself where I don't let myself get bothered by outside noises.
Yeah.
I feel like you somewhat get the same sort of like effect, which is very, it's beautiful because I think it goes into the jar of like that relationship that you cultivate with yourself as well, which is very important. And as we discussed, very easy to forget as well.
Yeah. You completely forget that you need a relationship with yourself with all the things you have to do in the day.
It seems like a given.
Coworkers, friends, family, girlfriends, spouses, kids. Yeah. It's like, wait, like when am I alone with me? Like almost never.
Yeah.
I think the idea of doing it in a hike is probably equally as good. just with nature being the background.
Yeah, and I don't know that like we haven't like expanded too much on like religious beliefs, spirituality, and all that stuff. And like I'm sure we will at some point. But to be honest, I don't know exactly still to this day what it is that I believe in, even though I grew up in a like predominantly Christian household.
Yeah.
But I know that I do believe in something, that there is an energy, whether you want to call it the universe or whatever it is. But I feel like when I do take time to go be in nature, that sort of like mechanism that's at play that we just talked about, where like you create a container, you create space, and then thoughts find you that you need to work on. I feel like when you're in nature, there is that, but almost like enhanced, because I feel like, I don't know what it is, but I watched a really cool interview with Andrew Garfield recently talking about, the passing of his mom and like basically how he handled that. And he explained that when he is in nature, there is this like download of information that can happen and find you that is just something that's just much bigger than you. You know what I mean? And it's just like allowing yourself to just be in a place, in a space where you're not fighting, you're not dictating thoughts, you're not trying to handle thoughts, you just allow yourself to be, is very often when when those thoughts come and find you, and you have either like the revelation or the way forward in a lot of senses. Totally.
Yeah, I think going to places like Sequoia or Joshua Tree out here is like a lot of times when you do that with friends, go camping or a cabin, I find that I write a lot when I'm there,
right,
in that nature kind of environment. It triggers that connection, triggers that like muse we talk about.
Yeah.
And my wife is big on grounding in nature. For her, it's like a big cultural thing. Like she feels it like spiritually.
Where is she from?
She's from Mexico originally, so
cool.
she has like that background,
nice.
tribal, background, and I love it. I think it's so cool. She loves taking her shoes off, barefoot in like grass, walking around, being in nature, and she gets recharged. Like when she goes in nature for like a weekend, she comes back. Like you could see the difference, like in her glow,
Right.
Like this city, the craziness of like LA and Burbank and the nonstop go-go-go's, like she's not really made for that, in a way. Yeah. And I don't think probably none of us are. Probably none of us are. But I don't get as much as she does, like grounding. I get the creative, like I want to create, really writing specifically. That's what I love doing in nature.
Right. Well, I was going to say, like, I feel like that's a good segue. Speaking of the craziness that we can all go through, we're on that holiday clock right now. It's about to get mental. What's that like for you normally? Like, as we discussed, we have the difference where like you'll be with your fam.
Yeah.
I'll not be with my family. I'll be with my girlfriend's family. What is that experience like for you? Do you feel privileged? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like, what's that normally like for you?
Typically I'm working so hard on a business or a project that, my wife has to take a ton of the brunt of the holiday. Like the gift buying and a lot of that stuff goes to her. And I feel really guilty because it's just so difficult for me to pause the work grind. Like, we're launching this company, we're launching this clothing, we're launching, and then I have 30 clients that I have to train. And so we get into it a lot around this time, and I always feel bad because it's consistent. I try to help her in ways that I can, like, hey, get these people this thing, or if I can jump on my phone, I can order something, but like I can't go to stores and buy stuff. Like I just don't have the time.
That stuff takes time
to do that. So we're kind of in that she's really annoyed with me phase of the holiday because she's like, I just want to say
I love you, and
she's grinding it out right now. And, but and then it's just dealing with families, like your spouse's families, your own relatives. It's also time for me for it's Christmas is a hard time. Thanksgiving and Christmas are a hard time for me now because of losing one of my closest relatives, and it brings back those like memories and those feelings of, man, like I remember like this was his favorite holiday. Like he loved this, like Christmas dinner was his favorite thing. So I start feeling that right about now, like right about like less than 10 days out, I start to think, oh, like he's not going to be there.
Right.
Right. So I kind of deal with that, and I'm trying to communicate it more with my wife, like, instead of closing off and just pushing it down. And my friends too, like, because a lot of them knew him as my uncle. And so we're kind of I'm in that my wife and I are bickering a lot because I'm just not helping as much as I should be. And then I'm also starting to get a little bit anxious about missing my uncle.
Is there, I'm curious, is there any like, I love to hear that like you said, you make an effort of like explaining and voicing how you feel still, but like, you know, going back to this podcast and like masculinity and all that, do you feel maybe a pressure as a man and as a father to sort of like put your feelings aside to make sure that everybody has a good time in some ways?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely don't like bring it up as much as I can. I kind of, you know, I say like a you know, an Irish prayer to him. I have an Irish prayer tattooed on my chest, and when I lose people, you know, they go into that prayer for me. And
Beautiful.
so I usually will, in like my own way, I'll just have like a half small glass of like bourbon, and like in my head I'll say that prayer, and I'll just kind of toast him. But we don't talk about it. Like I won't bring it up with my dad.
Yeah,
it was his brother, and I don't want to bring that out for him. And you know, not trying, you know, with this podcast, you know, my dad's old school, so we don't really talk about it.
Right.
It's just not something that if I bring it up, he doesn't know how to really converse about his feelings.
Yeah, I feel like that's, and this is no judgment on your dad. I feel the same with my parents sometimes. I feel like that's what's difficult about previous generations, especially when it's like our relatives, because like we can very much be willing to be a part of like this change of like talking about our feelings more and honoring them and all of that stuff. But often that's not how previous generations have been raised. And so if you try to sort of like put them into that workspace before they're ready or, you know, even aware of it, you can cause pain. And that's also difficult because then in that case, what do? You know what I mean? Like,
right, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, and it's not to fault him either, right? Like you said, like that's how they were raised. That's all they know. And I think we're fortunate enough to be able to do things like this, like explore those patterns that were passed down to us that we're like, man, I don't know if that's how I want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I talked to my daughter about my uncle. She really loved him a lot, and so she, you know, she remembered it was his birthday about 2 weeks ago.
Did she meet him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my daughter got to meet my uncle. He passed 3 years ago, so she got to, you know, she met him up until she was 10, and he was goofy. He's like Jim Carrey, like a goofball kind of guy,
right?
And so her and I talk about it. My wife knows that it's still such a, you know, it's 3 years, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah,
you know, it's still we're. Last Christmas, I showed up at my parents' house looking for his truck.
Wow.
And I was like, where? And then I looked at Jess and she was like, what? I'm like, I was just going to ask you, like, do you see Dale's truck? Like, I don't see it. And then she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
You know, it had been 2 years, so we had a Christmas. It was hard, and then I'm like, oh, a year later, it should be okay. You think, you know, I can man up, right?
Right.
And then it just like you don't realize you're even looking for that thing until you do.
And there's that time too, man up.
Yeah, and in that voice, that's that inner voice that goes, because that's how we're raised. You know, like, hey, man up, get it together, and I do. You know, you try to, right?
Yeah.
But also it hurts, right? Like that's the other reality here. Like it's painful, you
right?
know? And like that's okay, is what I keep trying to remind myself. Like it's okay to feel that because it means that like he mattered, right? Like to me that shows how important he was.
Yeah.
And that emotion isn't a bad thing.
Right. And I think this is a very good point, and I think it goes into something that I'm sure we'll talk about some more, which is that I think there's very much a stigma when we grow up of like sort of like labeling emotions, and you have like all the ones that are seemingly positive, like love and like pride, and like, you know, like on the other side you have like anger labeled as a bad emotion, or like, and it's easy to understand why, right? But I feel like we can get very much caught up in feeling bad when we feel bad emotions and trying to run away from the bad emotions, as opposed to like, you know, this is an analogy that I don't remember how it came to me, but just seeing feelings as clouds, right? Like they pass, and then there's joy. You can acknowledge it, you can bask in it, you can love it, and it goes away. But then comes anger, and as opposed to run away from it, if you can just kind of like sit in that knowledge of like, this too shall pass once again, then you just kind of like almost become a spectator, and you can, it's very reassuring. I think it all goes back into that like feeling safe sort of like sensation of like, you know, and we obviously will always have our own ways to deal with things, and certain things will impact us more than others. But like, I feel like knowing that and being able to just remind yourself like, hey, this sucks, but I'm safe and this too shall pass is huge, and it takes so much cultivating. So
Totally.
I'll be curious to hear how you just keep I want to say handling that, but once again, I don't think it's the right terms. It's not about handling it.
Right.
It's just more about, like you said, kind of like acknowledging it, right? And just feeling it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you for Christmas? Like, is it going to be strange for you not going home to see your family, or?
Yeah. It is tough, man. I mean, you know, like if I were to go back home, once again, I'm from New Caledonia. It's an island completely on the other side of the world. You can't be any farther from LA. And you know, my parents are at that age now where like it feels like it's important to spend time with them, but because it's so far and so expensive to go there also, it's not really like you can just pop over for a week, right? Like I would have to go there for a whole month. And you know, like with acting and all that stuff, like you got to somehow justify and make that 1 month away work. So I'm not going home this year. And it's tough. Yeah. Like I know that my parents, are going to be just on their own, sort of like missing me a lot. I'll be missing them too. And it's, you know, kind of like about accepting that. And it's also not my first Christmas, kind of like doing it more or less on my own. And it's easy, I think I noticed in the previous years, to get kind of caught up in, once again, those feelings of like, well, you know, I guess everybody's going to have a great time, like, and kind of feel sorry for yourself. And I think I've learned to not judge myself for having those moments of feeling a little sorry for myself, because it's going to be a little tough. But at the same time, I noticed in the past that if I allow myself to go through that feeling, then very often what happens is the following days I'll see other people, whether it's on Instagram or on the streets with their family, even like, you know, knowing that you will be with yours, and allow it to fill me with joy. I don't need to be upset at others people's joy, right? I can still go, hey, you know what? This is dope for you. I wish I could have that right now. It's not the case. But I'm happy for you because, you know, there's enough love around to share. So, yeah, it's kind of like, it's a bit of a roller coaster always that time of the year. But once again, like reminding yourself that it's not forever. I'm lucky to still have my parents, and to know that people around me are having a good time too. So if I can just sort of like tap into the love of all of that, I feel like it makes it a lot easier in general. But it's an interesting time for sure.
Have you gone to see her parents before, her family before? Or is this
I have, okay. I have a couple of months ago. It was really cool. I feel like and I'm sure you can relate, like that's always a very important step in a relationship where you can know your partner and their quirks and where they're from and all that stuff, but until you've actually gone into their home where they've grown up and you're like, this makes sense. I love you so much. I understand now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's always really cool to do that. And I'm still excited, man, you know, like getting a break from the grind of it all and just, but once again, it's going to take some intention to unplug. Right. And I'm sure you feel the same. Like you'll probably be working all the way up till Christmas, but you have to put time in to have time. Yeah.
I look forward to not working like Christmas Eve. Half a day. And Christmas Day, I'll probably work up until Christmas Eve morning. Just train some people that want to get in some sessions. I have to train to be on track for my show. And then just not disconnect completely. Like no emails, no texts, phones in the room. I don't even want to deal with it. I just want to be with the kids and Jess and chill. And
how do they feel about Christmas? Are they excited?
Oh, my house, because Jess is a Christmas Day baby, she says she is Christmas. And like my house is Christmas. It's just, I mean, the kids love it. We're doing Elf on a Shelf, which is the most torturous thing as a parent ever. You wake up in a panic if you don't move those elves, bro. Like if I forget to move them, Everett will be so upset.
That's so funny.
Like I did it with Sammy once. I didn't move the elf to a hiding place or something, and she thought she did something wrong.
Wait, hold on. This is just occurring to me. I thought you were talking about the movie this whole time. What is Elf on a Shelf?
Elf on a Shelf is a horrible marketing thing.
What is that?
It's a little elf you buy that comes on the 1st, and every night it moves around the house, but it moves because the parents have to move it and put it in cool places. So the kids get to wake up every day for 25 days to look for this. I can't believe
I've never had that.
Oh, dude, it's so much work. And
wait, so like for the last 19th of December, the last 19th day, every night you've had to find a new spot.
Yeah, I wake up at 4:30 every morning, and so at 4:30 if I don't move it before I go to bed, I sit up in bed and go, oh God, I gotta move the elf. And I'll like rush out to move it because he'll just be so crushed if I don't move it.
That is hilarious.
Today the elf, he woke up and we have 2 elves because Sammy had her elf and she doesn't do it anymore. She helps me a little bit. And now Everett has his elf. It's Shimmer and Shimmer and Sprinkles are the elves in our house.
That is so funny.
And I wrapped twine around Sammy's elf and then put his elf upside down in a box of Fruit Loops. Like he tied her up to get the candy.
I like to think that like, you know, like I know that most of these like Christmas traditions have like a really sweet story of like how they came about, but I'd love to think that that one in particular, it was just some guy that was like, I'm gonna create a nightmare routine for you.
Yeah, like, successfully achieved, dude. It's so hard, but we're doing that. We got the tree up right after Thanksgiving. Every night when I get home from work, we try to watch some kind of Christmas movie.
Yeah. Do you have to incrementally, sorry, I'm fascinated by this elf thing. Does it have to incrementally be more and more absurd, like where the elf gets?
Ideally it does. Not in my house because I'm tired from working so much. So it just moves around.
Like the elf's going to be on the couch today.
Yeah,
that's where he's going to be.
Elf's chilling. Every now and then it'll do something cool. At one point, like I dumped out a bunch of protein bars when my daughter was little and I took bites out of it so it looked like the elf did, and for years she thought the elf ate my protein bars. My
man is smart. Get those macros in, but also get the elf sorted. I love it. It's so funny.
It's a stressful thing, but when you see them, like how excited they are, it makes it fun. Like when I come home, the first thing he says, did you see the elves? I'm like, I didn't today. Where were they? I didn't find them, and he'll show me.
That's so cool. So you're on elf duty then?
Dude, I'm on elf duty. But luckily, my 13-year-old is helping me. Thank God.
Dude, this is so good. I actually am invested now. I'm going to need to know every day where the elf goes.
Dude, it's a marketing tactic. They have clothes and accessories you can buy.
That is so funny.
But he loves it, so it's fine.
That's awesome.
We don't have a ton of traditions like for Christmas. We're trying to build them now, like our family more. Like my wife and 2 kids. We used to have huge parties like growing up. When I was a kid,
right?
Like those huge 40 people house parties. All the cousins come, all the aunts and uncles. And, as you get older, people pass on, people move out of state or out of the country. And it's just gotten to the point where it's just us.
Right.
And my parents, really.
Right.
Did you grow up with bigger Christmases or
No,
small?
It's kind of my parents and I on our little island. Like I have definitely spent holidays like in France with my parents' family or like in Mauritius with my mom's family as well. But we've definitely had like our fair share of like just tiny little holidays. That's just the 4 of us.
We're trying to do now is like next year we want to go somewhere, just the 4 of us.
Yeah.
I can build those memories a little bit. I have that feeling you mentioned earlier where it's like my parents are getting older. I want to have as many Christmases as I can with them, but then at the same time, I have to create my own memories with just my family too. And it's hard because my dad and I are so close. Like I can't imagine not seeing him on Christmas.
Of course,
it's a weird thing to think about not seeing him. So, but I told my wife like, hey, next year, like rent a cabin, like let's go somewhere where there's snow.
Yeah.
And just do us because that's something she really wants to do.
Now, all I can think about is next year you're trying to figure out what the elf goes in that freaking cabin.
In the cabin. It has to come, dude. It has to be there.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, all that Christmas stuff, that brings on, the end of the year as well. We're going to take 10 days off of this podcast as well while I'm away. But do we want to talk about a little bit, and we haven't really rehearsed or prepped this, but maybe off the top of our heads, like some of the stuff that we'd love to talk about as we get back, next year into 2025 and all that?
Yeah, totally. I think tackling things that we have to think. And we're back. Okay, cool. All right, so
what are we talking about?
Coming topics for the new year on the podcast,
that's right.
2025. I think something that is going to be something that I want to talk about in the beginning is the beginning of the year. Like as men, I think a lot of us are so focused on goal setting, and is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is there too much goal setting? That would probably be me. It's like overly goal setting,
right.
And then the stress of having those goals all year long.
Yeah.
That kind of, I've been thinking about that a lot lately because I usually go into that right around now. And then I think,
Did you set goals for the new year?
Yeah, I mean, usually I do professional, personal, athletic, and educational, and I have like little segments that I want to hit in each, whether it's like read this many books or get a cert in this area.
Yeah.
Business wise, like hit this number in sales, or grow your following to here. Athletically, it's do a show, gain 30 pounds, power lift, or get a PR bench, little things like that. Just so I like have something, but some might think that's too much.
Do you find yourself, do you beat yourself up if by the end of the year you don't reach those goals? Or do you find that they're more like a guideline in the beginning, almost like a compass as to like a direction you want to follow maybe, and then you give yourself the freedom along the way to change those goals? Or like how do you sort of like handle that?
I think it used to be more toxic where I would really beat myself up at the end of the year if I didn't hit them. Like it was a real problem. I would say in the last couple years I've gotten way better at being like, you know what, like I didn't hit that goal, but like I'm just gonna carry it over to this year. Why do I have to get it done last year? I can still do it. But it took a while to get there, and like some actual like self-talk. Like it's okay, relax.
Cool. So goal setting is one.
Yeah, goal setting is one. I think is a big one. You know, I think one of the big fun topics we get to talk about is that, you know, the toxic masculinity, you know, that kind of stuff. Because it's a hot topic.
I think that there's one that I would love to talk about because it's been such a huge influence in my life. It's attachment styles. I don't know if we've ever spoken about that, but I feel like that really it's hard. I don't want to unpack it right now, but I feel like there is so much in that allows you as an individual to basically, just for people who are not familiar with it, attachment styles, essentially there are 4 attachment styles, and we each apparently fall in one category. And when you understand your attachment style, it really helps you understand the dynamics that you've had in relationships, the way that you handle things, whether it is in your intimate relationship or with people, the way you talk to people, all that stuff. So I feel like that's just a very just a good thing to have on your radar and to understand as a whole, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else that strikes you off the top of your head?
I think talking about the roles that like men have to
fulfill in society
is a good one too. Partner, provider, those kinds of things would be fun to explore.
And if that's changing as well, maybe while we're at it.
I agree.
And on that topic, I think one that could seem counterintuitive to what we're doing, but I do think that it would be cool also to have an episode about when it is important to tap into maybe that old school of masculinity of like, hey, it's time to get ugly with this. You know, there will be a time for feelings, but right now I need to tap into that built-in sort of like primal mechanism of just grinding. And like, when is it okay to do that? And when is it actually healthy to use that?
Yeah, I love that. I do that a lot, that primal thing. Like I'll tell myself, hey, it's time to get serious. Like that's that switch for me where you have to go old school a little bit with the work ethic or in the way that you were taught. But that would be fun to explore.
That and I think I think that will be probably a through line about the podcast, just like as a whole, what that balance looks like of like, hey, those are the moments where I need to go hard, but because I went hard, I need to recuperate, and now I need to, you know, like maybe do a little bit more self-care, maybe do a little bit of reassessing.
That's a good one too, self-care.
Self-care.
I think
100%.
that's a big missing piece in a lot of our lives as men. Like we just work and provide.
And that relationship, like we were saying earlier, that relationship with ourselves, because like it's so easy to just think that it's just like an inherent thing that we have because I am me, therefore I am the relationship. But it takes some taking care of, and it's very, very easy to forget. And I think that it's also going to be very interesting for us to talk about it as we are once again still figuring it out for ourselves.
Totally.
Which, you know, I do think that there is value in this kind of like humble point of view that is, we do not know everything, but we are very passionate about just improving as humans and as men particularly. So,
totally. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go. So we'll close out the year with this one, and then we'll be back in January.
That's it. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you soon.